Hi, fellow gamers. Welcome to Beyond the Games. And this is the second interview in my new series. And with me is my friend, The8BitDee.
Hello.
Yeah, so you can say hello. Some of my viewers may not know D. I've known D for not a great deal of time. I've watched quite a few of your streams, and we've chatted back and forth on Twitter a few times and stuff. And you were gracious enough to join me and my few followers to have a chat. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk content creation and
Fun, fun.
yeah, your take on it, your opinions on it, etc. So let's just jump right into it. Let's not wait.
All right, let's go.
All right. What was your motivation for streaming or content creation when you were starting out?
I had a less traditional path than most people, I think. I started on Instagram. I know most people are think they dive straight into Twitch first. I was posting on Instagram, and it was my own personal Instagram, random things out with friends, and then it slowly started to turn into me posting my gamer merch, stuff like that. I've been a passionate gamer my whole life, and I have a bit of a obsession with collecting kind of off the beaten path um, bits of merch, like custom made stuff. So I actually did one post that kind of started the whole thing. And it was a photo of, I was drinking coffee. I was on vacation, I think in Washington, D.C. And I had a Moschino, which is like a designer brand. They did a limited edition collection with the Nintendo. And I did manage to get one of these like very limited pieces. And I just posted a picture with it. And it took off. I mean, for me at the time, I had like maybe 50 followers, and overnight I had like 300. So I was like, okay, this is content that people are interested in. So I started doing it more and more, and eventually it became like a gaming Instagram. And I started just kind of talking to people. And I noticed a lot of the people who engaged with me had Twitch channels. So eventually I became a bit of a viewer, and I started watching streamers, and I was very, very interested in it, but I did not have the courage, I guess, to do it. And then I actually met another streamer by the name of Luffy X16, who we would DM back and forth and talk about stuff like K-pop and random gaming things. And I hung out on his stream enough times, and he was just like, "You need to do this, and you need to do it now." And he convinced me that he would help me and introduce me to really good people. And I decided to finally build a PC and do it. I was going through some stuff at the time, so I felt like this would be a good outlet for me. And yeah, I did my first stream. I got some big raids from him and other people that I knew through Instagram, and it was kind of just this upward trajectory since then.
Well, that's definitely a different path than most.
Yes.
From Instagram to Twitch, isn't it usually you start Twitch and then you start your Instagram?
Yeah, for
So
sure. It's definitely not traditional.
well, that kind of rolls, I guess, kind of right into my next question. Like, how do you or did you advertise and promote your stream when you were starting out? And how much social networking did you do and where did you do it?
Yeah, so for me, it was mostly Instagram. I mean, I had about I don't remember, it's been so screwy, Instagram, the algorithm's kind of crazy. I think around that time I had about 10,000, like 10,500 followers or something. I lost a lot since then and have been kind of slowly regaining. So I had a pretty sizable audience, and my engagement at the time was really high. So anytime I posted something, people generally did see it. So it was just a lot of kind of hyping up the streams. I didn't have a set schedule then, so I was only streaming like once or twice a week. So I would do like a story and a post that day, and even just from that, I was seeing 20, 30 people come in. Um, and I got a f I mean, I had a no I didn't realize at the time that, like, affiliate isn't something that everyone kinda just gets. Like, I didn't really have a concept of it. I kinda walked into everything. So we hit affiliate really, like, right from the gate, and then, uh I was, like, using my emotes to get people in because I had, like, some goofy emotes and stuff at the time. So I wasn't using Twitter, but I realized through other people that that was, like, a good resource, but for whatever reason, it just never worked for me. It's only really been recent that I've kind of learned the Twitter game. So yeah, it was mostly just showing love to other streamers going in there, um, using emotes, like, respectfully. I'm not one to just spam my emotes in other chats, but, like, just popping an emote where it was fitting. People would always be like, "Oh, that's a great emote. Oh, that's yours. Cool. I'm gonna come by." And yeah, and then just talking to other streamers and building actual relationships with people. I to this day don't hang out in streams unless I enjoy that content creator. And I know people who have come by and tried to establish a relationship with me and have been very forward about like, hey, if you raid me, I'll raid you and things like that. But if I don't like their content, I don't engage that way. And I know that's detrimental to growth, but it's just it kind of goes against my personal principles. So, I mean, really, just I think the main thing for marketing my streams was just word of mouth from other people who did enjoy my content. Kind of inserting myself in communities that I genuinely enjoyed, and using Instagram at the time.
Okay. Yeah, the integrity is a big thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's definitely that's a big thing. It's tough. It's a tough part of it, because if you start becoming one of those, oh, you rate me. It's like it's the old follow for follow thing, and the sub for
Exactly.
sub thing. It's kind of, yeah. I mean, you kind of lose some integrity when that becomes your only shtick. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that you excuse me. You mentioned that you'd built your own PC. So, well, let's talk about your setup. Like, what do you use? What have you recently added, or what have you added to your stream, technical wise? And did you notice any big benefits from it?
So I recently redid my entire setup. So I have had so many different backdrops, and I've experimented with a lot. In the almost it'll be 2 years in October, so almost 2 years. Originally, I was for most of my streaming career, I used a green screen. Because I live in an apartment and I was moving and it was just easier. But over time, because of I have some health issues and I have a big sensitivity to light. So lighting up a green screen plus lighting up myself was a lot. And it was actually I felt limiting my progress. Uh, because I wasn't giving anyone something interesting to really look at. And it wasn't a conversation starter, right? Because it's just me and my face. And I was constantly uncomfortable and tired, honestly. My eyes would hurt, and I would go to no cam streams here and there, but it's just a fact of life, especially as a female streamer, um, that it just doesn't it's not something people will typically stick around for, especially with me not even just being a female streamer, but because I'm very animated. So people are there, they like my responses to things, they kinda like to watch me goof around, so when I am no cam streaming, it is detrimental because it's not what people come in for, or what I'm known for. So I added, most recently, a DSLR just to kinda up the camera quality. Uh, and I'm using a Sony A6400, which I know is a bit of a reach for some people. It's not the cheapest camera, but I purchased that with the mindset I would be using it for multiple things. I'm going to be doing YouTube content soon, so it was good for that. It's a good vlogging camera, and I do go to a lot of events, so I figured that would be a nice thing to add, to be able to kind of show people. Like I went to E3 last year, and I didn't get to really show anyone. Um, and I figured that it would be nice to kind of take my viewers with me for these experiences because they're the reason that I get to have them. So that was the big one. And with that, I got a new backdrop. So I ditched the green screen and I'm down now to one light pretty much. So I use a Elgato key light. So I'm no longer surrounding myself with having to light my backdrop. And then with that, I just purchased it's called the Bliss Light Skylight Projector. And it basically puts like a beautiful night sky galaxy kind of pattern on the wall behind me while also providing some light to the background. It puts like a blue U all over everything. And then I grabbed the nano leaf canvas lights. And I know every streamer uses those triangular nano leaves, so I wanted to be a little bit different and still stick to my branding. So I purchased the square canvas instead of the triangular nano leaves. So they are something you see on a lot of channels, but they're a little bit more inclusive to me because I live, communities in the Pixel Palace. So say I live in the Pixel Palace and they look like little pixels. And yeah, that was the big one. And then audio. I think ear fatigue is definitely a thing. And I know for me personally, I listen to more streams than I actually am sitting looking and paying attention. I have streams on while I'm playing ESO or WoW, and it's kind of background noise. So audio is really, really important. So I did upgrade. I got a Go XLR Mini, which I love and has been great. And with that, I got an XLR dynamic mic because I have a ton of background noise. Anyone who watches me knows that I have a very rambunctious cat who will run around my apartment and make a ton of noise. She actually knocked something over when you started recording, and I'm, like, hoping that she didn't that you couldn't hear it. But, yeah, so I got a Rode pod mic and a Rode PSA arm for that mic because it's quite a heavy microphone, actually. And, yeah, that's pretty much all the major it's a lot. I changed everything basically. But, to answer the actual question, I have seen a benefit from it and a bit of a boost, because now when I get especially when I receive a raid, it's not just like, "Oh, hey, we're leaving," or people say hello and then they kinda bounce. Usually, at least every raid, someone who's not been in the channel before will say, "Oh my god, I love your background," or "I love your backdrop. Where'd you get it?" And it starts a conversation. And people do stay for aesthetics, so it does get people to kinda stick around. They say the vibes feel good, it's very relaxing, and that's kind of what I'm going for. So, yeah, it's been a really nice change.
Good. Yeah, I know from past with your streams you had the green screen and now you don't. And like I said, it your streams always were good anyways. But yeah, that
Thank
backdrop
you.
is nice though, and that was always one thing with me with my green screen is because behind me it's my ugly work desk. So like
Mhm.
yeah, it's like in your same situation. Like it's kind of hard to have a interesting backdrop if you don't have the ability to have something interesting. So
Mhm.
yeah, it definitely sharp looking stream. So
Thank
and
you.
on that you'd mentioned like and I know like from your streams and from some of your charity streams you've done, I know health sometimes is a big issue for you. Was there a point regarding your health or just other things where you just thought, well, it's time for me to give up?
Yeah, it's weird how things work out. I'd been sick for about 5 years. So when I started streaming, I was still dealing with health issues. But I didn't feel a lot of pressure to always stream or to have a schedule because I was just new when I was starting out. It's when the channel really started to grow. I had a pretty steady growth from the beginning, but it wasn't until around, I want to say, March, April of 2019 that my channel really started to grow. And that was because I had attended PAX East, and made a lot of connections at that event. I found myself in weird situations. I was at parties with big partnered streamers, and I was talking to the developers of Dead by Daylight, and just like a lot of things were going on. Um, and then Death Garden came out. So the reintroduced version of Death Garden Blood Harvest. And I don't know what it was about that game, but it just really vibed well with my community and my playstyle, and my streams were growing at a crazy rate because I was so high up in that directory. So, it was just, like, mounting and mounting and mounting, and then obviously when you're doing well, you feel pressured to stream more. And that for me so for those who don't know, I live with a disease called, systemic lupus. So, it's an autoimmune disease where it's a disease of flare-ups, and it just basically is like I wake up every day and I roll the dice, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel that day. I deal with chronic fatigue and a lot of other issues with that illness, but what basically, if I'm not sleeping enough and I'm not having enough downtime, it will be worse. So when I'm working full time, and I'm a nurse, so I'm already working pretty active lifestyle. When I'm working 7 to 3 as a nurse and then coming home and then jumping on stream at 4 p.m. and streaming until 3, 4 in the morning because my growth is doing well and everyone says just keep going, keep pushing, keep growing. Um, it was sending me down like a very dark health spiral because I was so happy that I was doing well. And then off stream, I was feeling so sick all the time that I had no distraction from it. So it was kind of this horrible balance that I was like, but I feel happy when I'm streaming at least, even though I'm in pain. And it was terrible. But I did get to a point when I physically couldn't game. Like, I physically couldn't sit at my PC, so I started canceling streams, and then I would feel the guilt of, like, "Oh, the community is gonna be disappointed in me," and then I started to feel like I was letting people down a lot because I started to get very inconsistent, and I got it got pretty serious for a point, and I had to, I think, take a couple weeks off, and I was beating myself so much up. I just felt no one really deserved to give me their subs, and no one deserved to come and spend money on my channel and give me their time. So, I did contemplate just quitting altogether, a few times, and I did take some time off. I it got to a point when it wasn't good for my mental health, so I took about, I wanna say, a month off in August of 2019, And then I did come back for the WoW Classic launch, and it just wasn't really the same at that point because I was very inconsistent still. I didn't have a handle on my treatments or anything like that. And I had a big content shift. I switched to streaming exclusively WoW Classic. So I kind of alienated my audience a bit. So it was like, okay, well, now I've lost a lot of what I built and I'm still inconsistent. So I felt like a failure, honestly. And then I did take a few more months off after that. Uh, and I really hadn't been consistent again until I want to say March of this year, 2020, which is interesting. And for this is the first time that I've found that balance of, streaming and growing and being happy and content every time I'm on camera and actually having a set schedule that doesn't hurt my health. I mean, I stream only 3 days a week, which is not really traditional. Most people are like, 5 days, 6 days. But I've found that healthy balance. So now I don't get into those ruts where I'm like, I need to just quit.
Okay. Like, well, as someone who's been to your streams and then knows some of the struggle that you went through, I'm one of the people that's glad to see you back.
Oh, thank
Even though
you.
you stream at some odd hours, I don't always get to jump on because the time zone is it's only an hour time difference. But you're streaming when I'm going to bed because I get up early for work and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So I get up early in the morning, I can catch your stream sometimes. So yeah, so that's as someone who's been to your streams and stuff, and I'm glad to we're one of the people's glad you're back. So
Thank you so much.
yeah. So well, this kind of goes right into another question is with you being a nurse and you streaming. How do you juggle work personal time along with streaming?
Yeah, that's kind of been my forever battle in the almost 2 years. And I finally feel like I've gotten it down. And that's probably only the past 2 months or so where I feel like I have control and I'm like, okay, this is what it is. This is how I manage everything. And I still struggle from time to time where I feel like I don't give enough to family and friends and stuff like that. But I've got it now. Honestly, it's just my schedule. And I know like you said, it makes it difficult for a lot of people to watch me, but it's the only way I get balance. So essentially, I'll do my nursing shifts and I'll work, and then I listen to my body. And 90% of the time, my body is like, I need sleep. So I'll go to sleep as soon as I get home from work. I will like go to bed, and I'll sleep almost a full night's rest, so the equivalent of like 6 7 hours. Right when I get home, and then I kind of wake up refreshed. I hang out with my partner. I have dinner. I hang out with my cat. I kind of have my little family time and then, I stream only 3 nights a week. So if I am streaming that night, I'll go live around 10 PM East and then kind of stay on as late as my body allows and I see. I also move my schedule to where I'm not working immediately after my streams. I only do that once a week, where I have work right after, so that makes it a little dicey sometimes, but I think it's just kind of setting myself into getting myself into a position where I have the energy to manage all those things. And I still keep to that kind of come home, take a nap schedule even when I'm not streaming so that like I can do other things. I can visit friends on Twitch. I can work on my other social media, whether it's like learning how to edit videos for YouTube or trying to teach myself more skills for later down the line. And then, like I said, making time for friends and trying to go out, even though none of us get to do that anymore with, the things going on with the pandemic. But I think that's my secret is just kind of listening to my body and not pushing myself. And if there are things going on that I feel like I'm really going to miss out on, whether it's a party or something else, not that those happen right now either, but if there's something happening in my personal life, I don't put streaming before it. I will make the sacrifice. I will cancel the stream or I will move it. And I've kind of gotten past the guilt of like, oh, I can't cancel. People are going to be upset because I know my community and I know their people and they have their own things to do. If they have somewhere to go, they're not going to feel obligated to be in my stream. And I make sure that they don't. So they don't expect that of me either. And I like to kind of have that relationship where I just say, hey guys, like, and I'm always honest with the community too. And I think that's important, um, to come on and say, hey, I don't feel well. I don't feel like I can give you guys my full energy or my full attentiveness, or hey, I'm just cranky today and I don't know if I have the patience, and kind of giving everyone that warning and just kind of putting that forward, allows me to kind of keep the balance going and keeps me motivated.
Like I said, it's always a struggle. Everything's a struggle.
Yes.
Life gets in the way, and it definitely adds. onto the anxieties and to the stresses of just every day. Even if you're not, streaming and gaming, it can be difficult for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So good that you got a handle on it. So you touched on your partner, and you touched on friends, etc. So let's juggle these two questions kind of together. How do your friends and family react when you tell them what you do? And has being a content creator affected personal relationships?
So it's interesting because I've had 3 partners in the time that I've been streaming. And my first, I think, really hated it. Uh, they didn't think my friendships were real. I'd hear your fake Twitch friends. And they were not super supportive of me doing it. And I felt that they were a little envious of my success. And it just did not work out. And that's part of the reasons it didn't work out. So I was thankful to Twitch for that because it kind of showed me who supports me and who doesn't. And then I actually was with someone who was a streamer also. So that was fine. And we had a really like understanding relationship that like the stream was important and this needed to get done. And we helped one another. Um, and we're still friends now, and it's totally good. And then my partner now is just so he it was it's interesting because I didn't want to tell them that I did this because it's not that I'm embarrassed by it, but it's just kind of my little thing that I do, and I felt it's difficult to explain sometimes to people. So I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I kind of do this thing where I stream and they knew what Twitch was, of course, and they were just like, oh yeah, that's cool, and kind of were just understanding of it. And now they've become like a person who's regularly on the stream, and it's essentially a meme at this point, and the community like adores them. So it's like a natural kind of feeling, and I'm really really grateful for that because I know there are a lot of content creators who hide their partners and are told to not have their partners in the spotlight. It's not good for views and things like that. But I really appreciate that my community is not that way, and it's nice to know people are supporting me for the right reasons, and it's a good feeling. And family and stuff, my family's actually so supportive. They helped me build my PC. My mom is in every single one of my streams. She watches every stream from start to finish. And it's adorable. Like she's really understanding, and she's all over the Twitch sphere. Like she knows who's doing what, and oh yeah, this person was on today and this happened and they had so many viewers and da, da, da. Like she's adorable, like how into it she's become. So it's really really awesome. And even my dad, who he doesn't sit and watch the streams, but he respects it because he understands that essentially it's a business, right? Like content creation, and if you make it a business, and it can be. And he, respects that I kind of went out and did this on my own and built this community. And they've been really supportive. I've been very, very fortunate in my life that like all my friends and everyone's been really understanding, and they come in the streams and they hang out, and it's nice. It made all words. Everyone melded this whole thing into like one reality for me. So it's really nice.
Very, very good. Awesome. It's nice when you have support. That's
Hmm.
for sure. That's encouraging. So I don't know. This could be a touchy subject. I don't know for some people. I know the last in person interview, they didn't have a problem saying anything. Have you ever streamed? Well, you don't do YouTube as of yet, but have you ever streamed a video, stream or made videos of a game you no longer like just because it was bringing in views?
Yes and no. I don't think it's a touchy subject. I think it's good to talk about this stuff, and I've talked about it pretty openly on my streams. I mentioned it earlier or touched on it earlier, but was I started out streaming variety, and then I kind of started to really grow around Dead by Daylight, which I loved. And I was really passionate about. And then time moved on, and I started to really develop a great relationship with a lot of larger Dead by Daylight streamers, and was attending dev events and stuff like that. And I was really kind of felt comfortable and really ingrained in that community. And I would go off and maybe do something different here and there. And I would see, everyone looks at their metrics. If a streamer tells you they're not looking at their metrics, they're lying. I hide my view counts and stuff while I stream because I think I don't want it to be about that while I'm streaming, but everyone's checking after. And I certainly do look because it interests me. And I would notice a huge drop off the minute I would switch away from DBD if I did 2 games in a stream or something, or if I just didn't stream DBD, period, I wasn't getting the traction. So I actually would have a dialogue with the community about why that was. And, people would be honest and just say, I only like DBD, or I only like to be here when this is happening, or I think you're funnier when you play this game. And so I did take note of that. And I think it did get in my own head a little bit because, like I said earlier, I switched to streaming WoW Classic as my main game. I had been playing World of Warcraft since it was in beta way back. So I was very, very, very passionate about WoW Classic, and I was really excited, and I was very open that I was switching to it, and I did get a lot of pushback from the community about it. And I went with it anyway and kind of said, hey, if we have to rebuild, we have to rebuild. And I did lose a lot of viewership. Like I think my audience halved almost. And I did stick with WoW Classic because I loved it, but it was really, really discouraging. It was difficult. It was discouraging because then I started to think, okay, well, people aren't here for me. They're here for the game, which I did learn later down the line, kind of after just as we grow, we learn things about ourselves. That it wasn't necessarily that they weren't there for me. It's just the entertainment and the content I'm providing playing an MMO is different than a game like Dead by Daylight, which has a lot of jump scares and a lot of, team moments and people in VC with me and things like that. So I did have to learn kind of the differences and what was changing the content. Now, when I did come back to streaming, because I did take a long hiatus and I was super inconsistent, kind of all over the place for the earlier part of 2020. I did, by default, go back to Dead by Daylight because I did not know what else to play. There was nothing out that was really exciting me. Nothing was really sticking. I didn't feel comfortable with the way my content was streaming World of Warcraft, whether it was retail or classic. And I did say, okay, well, Dead by Daylight always did well for me, so I'll go back to that and maybe I'll find my love for it again. But I really wasn't feeling it, as they say. Like I wasn't enjoying it. So I did spend a few weeks kind of turning it on and playing that game and treating it like background noise almost because I just wasn't passionate about it anymore.
Okay. So, and like I said, I do know for the fact because I mean, I was a viewer when with the stream thing, and we did play a few games together. So, do you normally play with viewers? I know with Dead by Daylight, I know you did some. But how do you interact with your viewers? Like, do you play with them? Have you done giveaways? What type of interactions do you have with your viewers outside of them being in the chat or in Discord? Is any benefits or drawbacks from those interactions?
Yeah, so I think the core of my stream is very, very community focused. Like that's the number one. Like chat is always priority. I have thrown many a game to the point when everyone I think believes I'm just terrible at video games because I'm always distracted by chat. Um, I do play with viewers, like you said, we've played together. With Dead by Daylight, I very rarely will play alone. I generally would open up, even if I'm using voice chat or not. It's an open lobby for people in the community to kind of come in and play. As time went on or has gone on, I've been a little more comfortable letting kind of more of my regulars come in and less so newer members of the community because we have had some issues with people being a little inappropriate, whether it's in VC or game chats and stuff like that. So and of course the community's growing, so I'm a little more protective of who we're letting in because there's more people seeing what they're saying, sort of thing. And it's also just been more difficult, right? As the stream grows, everyone wants a turn. And for me, it's very overwhelming to manage a queue and lobbies and things like that, which is part of the reason I don't love streaming Dead by Daylight anymore, because that kind of end of streaming isn't necessarily my favorite thing. Um, I get enough managerial stuff going on in my day to day at work. I don't like to bring it into my streams. But it's actually been a nice medium now because I stream Elder Scrolls Online primarily and we have a guild. So anyone that comes into the stream can join our guild in game. So I get that extra bit of interaction with them even when I'm not streaming. I'm in guild chat or we can do stuff in dungeons and whatnot. And they can network with other people who are in the community even when I'm not online, because someone's always on ESO playing. So that's been kind of the main thing for me. And I'm very active in my Discord. I'm always pushing Discord because I can go on when I'm at work. and say hey and see what's up. And we have a lot of different sections for different resources and stuff like that. We have a serious section where people can come to us with more heavy topics that they're maybe not comfortable with on stream. Um, and things like that. And also we have like a looking for group section and a self promote section. So it's just that wider exposure. You know, we have almost 500 people in there for people to interact with. And it just takes the community a step beyond my stream when I'm live. So that stuff I've found to be very beneficial.
Okay. So I know this is talked about endlessly on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, probably Facebook. I don't go on Facebook, but it's even a question. I don't know. It's like as a, on the outside looking in as a male streamer, as a female streamer, do you want to talk about some of the struggles?
Yeah. So, I mean, I actually had a tweet recently that I think had more traction than any other tweet that I've ever had. I don't know what it is lately, and I was doing a little mini experiment. Instead of just putting a going live tweet up and a going live Instagram message up, I would put it with a picture of myself. Um, and this was mainly because of Instagram, because the Instagram algorithm, you could do a whole set. We could have a whole separate podcast conversation about this because I could talk about 3 hours. The Instagram algorithm is really, really, really wonky and difficult, and I need a college degree just to figure it out, kind of thing. But it really favors human faces, male, female, whatever. Even my male streamer friends, I say post a selfie, watch what happens. It doesn't even have to be related to gaming in any way. It will outperform all your other posts. So I said, let's apply that logic to going live posts, and I did it with Twitter too. And they did get more retweets and they did get more likes and they were seen by more people on both platforms. But with that came a lot more harassment. Um, and not from my male friends, but from my female streamer friends. I noticed instantly that at the start of my streams specifically, usually I'll do just chatting when I start and kind of just talk to the community a little bit and settle in. And that's when we were seeing a lot more troll accounts, and not even troll accounts, like actual streamers coming in to make negative comments about female gamers, about female streamers, about females exploiting men. And my pictures of myself are not even like, I don't feel like I'm exploiting anybody. Like I'm wearing a t-shirt, you know, like I'm not, it's just not I mean, all props to women that have kicking bodies and show their assets off. Like I fully support women doing whatever they want and wearing what they want and using Twitch however they want. But that's not how I present myself. So it's interesting to me that even I was receiving that and I didn't have like, let's say cleavage in my pictures or things like that. So it was shocking to me. And then recently we had someone come in and say that, you know, it's a shame that my channel does really well because I'm taking views away from professional gamers.
I actually wanted to bring that up. That was a clip, and I'm gonna link it in the description of this podcast. The clip from that stream, because I've watched it more than once. I That's one of the reasons the question is how you handled yourself, the way you know, in other words, bitch slapping that individual, was impressive. That's one thing that I'll say is, from all your your streams, the way you even make fun of yourself, you come off as an honest individual. But to you be for someone that's you know, to watch one of your streams and knows your content and has a good grasp on the kind of person that you are, to see you being attacked, it angers me. And seeing anybody being attacked angers me. It doesn't make a difference of, you know, whoever they are. But for someone that doesn't present themselves in, you know, the way that some people do, and like, you know, all power to them, for you to get the backlash is always seems strange to me. And I'm gonna definitely want to link that clip. But that individual, whoever they were, deserve what they got. But that's my spin on it. I want you to kind of give you more your opinion on the whole situation.
Um, well, thank you, first of all. And the thing is, I normally am like see something like that, just like the mods delete it and I ignore it. I don't usually address that stuff. But it is interesting to me because, like I said, I don't present myself a certain way. But I think that goes to show that it really isn't. It just is sexism in the gaming industry as a whole. It really isn't about how you dress or what you wear, if you wear makeup or not. Because I've seen it happen to streamers on such a broad spectrum, like women specifically. And I was never someone. I grew up very fortunate, and I never ever felt limited by my gender, or my appearance or anything like that. And it wasn't until I started streaming that I really started to go, oh, wow, people are really sexist. And it's really interesting because it affects every female streamer I know one way or another. So that day in particular, I had gotten a few messages on my Instagram. Uh, Someone was like accusing me of buying fake followers, and then someone else was saying like, yeah, your content's garbage. The only reason people, sign up is for pictures of yourself. So why don't you post more selfies, or some garbage kind of messages like that? And I just delete and I don't address and I block and I move on. But it just happened like that stream in particular. It was like the perfect storm because I was already kind of frustrated by what I had just read before I went live. And then I went live. It was very early in the stream. We had already banned like 2 or 3 people for coming in and saying some pretty sexist, mean things. And then I was playing Elder Scrolls Online for the first time, actually. So I was in this moment of like pure bliss because I felt like I finally found my main game that I was going to stick with. And I was really happy, and all my friends were there. And it was just like a particularly pleasant time in my chat. And I was really going, oh my gosh, like, this is it. I found my new niche. I'm so happy. I'm meeting all these new people. Everything's going so well. And then that comment came down. And it's really funny because my mods are always super on top of it, but it just kind of slipped through the cracks. I don't know if it was just because everyone was so shocked by what they were reading or whatever, but it didn't get deleted right away. So I saw it and it kind of sat there. And I guess due to everything going on, my general feeling at the time, and then seeing it sitting in chat, I was like, I can't just not address this comment. So, and it's to me, I think that's true. Streaming is more about, yes, I think it's ignorant to say that some women don't have an easier time getting started, right? Um, because it's just a fact of life, whether you're a man or a woman. If you're attractive, you're probably going to have a little bit of an easier time because that's just life. It's like an example. I know Ashley Christ, who's a stream coach and does YouTube content. She does very well for herself, but she posted a tweet once talking about, Harris Heller, or Alpha Gaming as he's known on YouTube, and how he does so well, and she doesn't understand. And um, a lot of the comments were, well, he's the only good looking male stream coach. And which I think Ashley's like gorgeous, so it pissed me off a lot. But um, it's a fact that people perceive him to be very attractive, so his videos do very well. And it's just kind of this recurring theming. So I'm not saying that that's not an advantage, but there's so much more that goes into content creation. And I think that's where my anger was at the time, because I had to set up all my lighting. I had to set up all my Streamlabs stuff. I had to set up all my equipment. I had to set up my audio interface and get my sound levels correct. I had to hook up a DSLR and find what lenses work for me and what aperture is best for me, and all of these things, and the research and the time, and then the networking, and the knowing how to build a PC, and all of that is, I look at how much time I've invested into building my community. So then to have someone come in and just like say, oh, it's just because you're a female, like, set me off. And it still continues to bother me.
Well, you were definitely justified in what you in your response to that comment. And yeah, I mean, to come out and just say, oh, just because you're a girl or just because you're female, whichever term they like to use, as someone that doesn't understand how someone can be that way, I guess maybe I was raised better. So
Mm-hmm.
I know if I acted like that, my mother would, till this day, even though I'm a lot bigger than my mother, she'd still smack the shit out of me. You know, I guess I just raised to have respect, and like my wife knows like that I don't ever talk, and I mean in jest. I mean, a lot of things get said in jest, but that's fine. But I would never,
Yeah.
and my friends know it too. And like I said, I just, as someone sitting on the other side, I mean, gotten attacked on the stream before by for the way I look, but it's not because I'm too good looking. It's because I'm not good looking. So I get Fullerkin in my stream one night and was abusing me, and it's like it doesn't bother me. I have like really thick skin, and I made fun of it and joked it off. But
Mm-hmm.
to see the most call it abuse that some female streamers or most I can only say for the ones I've seen, it's atrocious, and it's a topic that needs to constantly be talked about, as unsettling as touchy as it can be for some people. But like I said, you always handle yourself with grace.
Thank you. It's effort sometimes, because sometimes you just want to tell these people to F off and really go off, but you don't want to give them that attention either.
Yeah, 100% agree. So, as someone who's streaming and who has a good sized community and has a lot of loyal people in your community, and who's also going to be branching into YouTube soon, I'm still waiting. I'm subscribed. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the video to pop in my subscription feed from D. Like, hello. Um, what are your future goals, and do you see this as a potential full time job?
Right. I'm very short. I have a very short vision for the future, and I always have with streaming. I think it's because my life, especially after getting diagnosed with lupus, is very unpredictable. So I don't ever like to make big plans, because I just don't know what's gonna happen. And I never like to count on things. And then it's a personal protective strategy too, because then I never feel disappointed and everything just feels wonderful when it happens. But ideally, moving forward into the rest of 2020, I do a lot of charity stuff on Twitch, and I love using the platform that we're building to do good things. It helps me sleep at night. It makes me feel like it's not just playing video games. I'm not playing games all night. I'm actually, using my voice to raise awareness for things. Um, Specifically, like causes that are very close to me, like lupus, because it is a disease that when I was diagnosed, I, even as a nurse, didn't know enough about it. And to find out that, we have 5 million people suffering from this thing and no one knows anything about it was shocking to me. So we've raised this year for not even just the Lupus Foundation, for other things like charity gaming, and other charities. We've raised over $6,000 so far in my community. So I think the biggest goal I have for the year, by the end of 2020, would to be hit that $10,000 raise for charity mark. That's probably the one I'm the most focused on. And then really for me, it's just to diversify my content. I've slowly been trying to get into Instagram again, and try to beat that algorithm. I just want to beat that algorithm and then have people see my posts again. I'm trying to kind of diversify the content, like you had mentioned, to YouTube. I promise it's coming. I have a lot of ideas. It's just tough to execute them, especially with COVID happening, because I'm ordering a lot of items from private sellers, and shipping's been a nightmare, and then things are coming, but it's from different games. I'm trying to do different videos at different times, so it's just kind of logistically a nightmare. But I am filming something tomorrow, and I'm hoping to have it uploaded by next week. Um, and that's really just it. I mean, everyone wants Twitch partnership. I would enjoy that for a few reasons. I feel like we'd be able to reach more people and help more people, and I could finally achieve my lifelong dream of having the username 8BitDee on Twitch instead of the 8BitDee, which Twitch is really great about giving up dead usernames to partners, but not to the common folks. So I'm really, if I had to be honest, that's my primary motivation to hit partner.
Hey, it's good to have goals.
Yes, that's about it for right now. I don't set hard dates for myself. I want this by this time, but it's kind of it would be nice if.
Okay, honest answers. I appreciate that. So we're gonna roll these two kind of into one question. It really is kind of one. What is your? Maybe we'll start with your least favorite, and then what is your favorite thing about doing all this?
Yeah. So my favorite thing, I guess, I immediately go to the positive first, but my favorite thing, I think, would be not feeling alone ever. I was someone who grew up, I didn't have a ton of friends ever in my life. I was ostracized throughout high school for liking games and being nerdy and kids are mean and pick on you for your looks and all these things. So I always really struggled. I always felt, oh God, I'm a socially awkward person. I can't make friends, and I always had a hard time with it. It affected me so negatively that I didn't do particularly well in school. I didn't set myself up great for the future. Um, so that for me has been such a turnaround. Like now I go, okay, wow, I have hundreds of friends. And every time I pop online, if I'm just like, hey, I'm so mad about this thing, then there's always someone there to offer advice who knows something or who's being supportive. And that support system is really nice. Specifically, when I was diagnosed with lupus, I felt so alone. I didn't know anyone that had this disease. And because of Twitch, I met so many fantastic content creators that also live with this disease. And it's how I got involved doing lupus foundation streams and such like that, just meeting other content creators. So that giving me the strength to kind of go on with my time and learn how to take care of myself and also, have friends who are in the same boat as me that sometimes they're just there for me to vent to or they vent to me. It just makes me feel less alone. So I think the real it's like a cheesy answer, but just the sense of actual community and not even just community, but real genuine friendships has definitely been the biggest positive for me. Um and the negative, I guess I could easily say like the trolls and whatnot, but I think it's the only real negative is that sense of guilt. I still am not over. I'm over the guilt with my own stream and canceling my stuff, and I've gotten the safety with my community where I don't ever really feel 100% obligated to be there all the time. But I still don't have that with my friends. Other content creators that I absolutely love and adore, I do kind of feel guilty if I'm away for a few days. I don't get to see their streams all the time. I'm not supporting the way I'd like to financially or whatnot. I do deal with a lot of internalized Twitch guilt. Um, and I'm trying to, that's like another goal for me, I guess, in 2020 is to try to get past that because I know no one feels negatively toward me for not being around, but I feel it myself. And so that's probably the biggest negative for me. Above all the other negative things that we could list, that's probably the worst one is that internalized guilt.
Okay, I was
I
kind
need to just clone myself.
of clone yourself so you can have someone to sit there and watch all the Twitch streams for you, and
Yes.
then you can do your creation and take a nap and play with your cat. See, that's
Yes.
the only way it works. The only way it works. Well, I can't thank you enough. I know it took some scheduling and some jumping around and etc. To nail down a time, and I appreciate you doing this. Um it's something, like I said, starting out, it's difficult to draw people in and say, "Look, I'm doing this," and they're like, "Okay," and it's like, they say yes, and then they disappear, and I'm like,
Oh.
"Great, D ghosted me," No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but like I said, I know, like, with your work, because I know what you do, and I know the struggles that you face just with other things, that it was a big ask for me, and I appreciate you stepping up and joining me and you know um being on the show, and I said I can't thank you enough. But to put a wrap on this, I'm gonna give you the floor and let everyone know what you're up to, what you're going to be up to. Just, hey, feel free to self promote.
Oh my goodness. Self promotion. It's overwhelming. But thank you first of all for having me. I it's always a shock to me still that people want to talk to me. I'm still not over the fact that, people actually want to hear what I have to say. So I'm honored that you would invite me here and trust me to be on your podcast. I'm really, really excited. So thank you. And thank you for all the kind words and honestly, like for always being there. I know my schedule makes it tough to support and you still always do that. And I really genuinely appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you.
Um, Speaking of schedule, I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/the8BitDee. I hate the, but that's what it is. It's /the8BitDee. Maybe one day it won't be there and it'll just be 8BitDee. We can dream. I'm live. The schedule as it stands now is that I am live on Sundays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do occasionally cancel due to health issues and such. For example, like it's usually once a week. I'm moving something around to a Friday, but I'm trying to be consistent. And I start my streams at 10 p.m. East, and usually I'm streaming till like 3, 4 in the morning. I'm a crazy person. But yeah, I mean, soon YouTube content. I don't even have a custom URL yet to plug, but if anyone stops by the Twitch channel, you can get that link. And yeah, as far as anything exciting, we have a fancy stream next week on Thursday, which I think is September 3rd. Yeah, September 3rd. Yeah, September 3rd. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a thank you / event stream. We raised $1,500 for charity recently, so I'm going to be dressed as a Murloc from World of Warcraft playing Elder Scrolls Online. It's the crossover that we never expected.
But everybody's wanted.
Yeah, so that'll be on September 3rd, 10 p.m. East. And then the next night, actually, September 4th, we're going to be doing a community night in my Discord server. So anyone's invited. I don't limit things to subs. I don't really believe in paywalls and stuff. So anybody who wants to come by, you can get that link in my Twitch description as well. And come by the Discord. We're going to be watching 2 movies, Taxi and I'm trying to think of the second one. I'm the worst. Oh, Halloween 2018. And it's really fun. We usually get a pretty big turnout, and is all sorts of debauchery that happens in the chat. It's a pretty good time, but that's about it. Just regular Elder Scrolls Online streams and the occasional Dead by Daylight. And soon YouTube. Soon, I promise.
Do you announce that you was starting YouTube and it's like, oh, cool, we're going to get some more content today, stuff that I could actually probably watch because YouTube is still a main focus for my entertainment whenever I'm not able to watch streams. And so I was like, all right, here's the link. I'll hit that subscribe button and sit there and just wait.
In my defense, it's challenging only because the content I'm doing is slightly ambitious.
And I as I understand all that, but it's fun to tease.
Yes. But hopefully soon I'll have different product reviews and Etsy collections and things like that, you know, and other things. So I'm looking forward to it all.
Perfect. Can't go wrong with more D.
D's nuts, you know?
That's right. So, as always, I'm going to be putting all your links down in the description. So, to find D, you just got to scroll down. Even if you happen to be listening to this podcast on SoundCloud, the links for everything are in there as well. If you're on YouTube, all the links are there. I know D's fairly regular on Twitter as I am, so feel free to comment below. If you comment here on YouTube or on the SoundCloud and it's a question for D, I'll make sure she gets it and make sure she finds a way to answer it. And yeah, feel free to hit either one of us up on Twitter with any questions regarding the conversation. And with
looking forward to it.
And with that, we're gonna wrap this up. And I know that you're on your way to another one of your streams, so we'll wrap this up and we'll let you go and get ready for that.
All right, thank you again so much for having me. It was really fun.
All right, we'll see you all later.